What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a little bit of a sit down talking video, as you can see from the title, and we're going to talk about dieting and the struggles of not dieting. I don't know about you guys, but my fitness journey and a lot of people's fitness journeys start off by wanting to get smaller, wanting to get skinnier, wanting to get that toned look. And society and social media especially really glamorizes like constantly dieting and being in that kind of like exhausted dieting phase of not eating anything and, you know, being really low on energy and all that kind of stuff. Dieting is super glamorized, especially on social media. You know, we see all of like the Fitspos, and it makes us constantly want to be dieting because we want to look like those people that we constantly see and that are constantly glamorized. With society and social media glamorizing kind of like the constant dieting and needing to be toned and have abs and be skinny like all of the time, it really messes with our body image because we're constantly comparing our bodies to these bodies that are in society or on social media, and it makes us just want to look like those people. And so it really messes with us because we're constantly playing this comparing game from our bodies to their bodies. Really, with this constant glamorization of constantly dieting and looking toned and being shredded all the time, it really makes gaining weight or having body fat the enemy. This video specifically is going to be around like the fitness industry, health industry, stuff like that, and that's because that's the industry that I am in, and that's where I see this being such a problem. But basically we're going to talk about why gaining weight and not being constantly shredded and at like the Fitspo stage is like so hard to do. I am personally right there with you guys, like in the same boat. I am right next to you if you're struggling with this, because I'm constantly struggling with not dieting and not having the goal of being super shredded or having toned six-pack and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it's hard for me to not be doing that because I am just so used to it. I'm so used to constantly working towards that goal of getting smaller and getting more shredded and looking better and, you know, just constantly comparing myself to other people. It's super tough because, you know, you get to this like very lean stage, or you're constantly striving to be at this very lean stage, and then it's just kind of like, now what? So basically I want to go over a little bit of why we can't be always dieting and constantly in a caloric deficit. The biggest problem about dieting is that most people stay in a caloric deficit for too long. And you could be in a caloric deficit by restricting your calories and increasing your physical activity. But basically our bodies aren't meant to be in a dieting state in a caloric deficit for a long time. And when we are forcing our bodies to be in a caloric deficit for too long, our bodies are going to have really negative effects, like a decreased metabolism, which your body is just going to stop burning as many calories throughout the day no matter how much muscle you have. Your bone density and your bone health is going to decrease. You're going to have a bigger risk of disease because your immune system is just going to start plummeting. This is why often you see people who are dieting, they get sick a lot. You're at an increased risk of losing muscle because after you have been in a caloric deficit for too long and have minimal fat to lose, your body is going to start turning to the muscles for energy. You are going to have a decreased mood and decreased energy. If you've ever been dieting or currently dieting, you notice that your energy definitely goes down. You don't have as much energy throughout the day, you have a harder time focusing, and you have just a worse mood. And finally, your fat burning hormones, the ones that are helping you out with burning the fat, those are going to be totally unbalanced. So those are some of the really negative effects that can happen from being in a caloric deficit for too long. Now those are kind of the physiological stuff that are 100% going to happen if you're in a caloric deficit for too long. But some other really serious things that can happen from being in a caloric deficit for too long is body image issues and disordered eating issues. And I feel like this is so common and it's almost glamorized to have these issues. Whenever you're so used to dieting and so used to tracking everything that goes into your mouth and so used to counting your calories and counting the amount of calories that you burn, you can get really obsessive over these things the longer you do it, because you obviously have to keep going farther and down with your calories and increasing the physical activity as much as you can to continue burning fat, because your metabolism is slowing down and your fat burning hormones are completely depleted. It comes down to the fact that our bodies aren't made to constantly be dieted down, and we need that energy and food and proper care for our bodies to be able to actually live the life we're supposed to and be the most effective person that we can be. Now, with that being said, I am totally guilty of struggling with not dieting so much. It's literally a daily struggle of mine. Because for the past 5 years, my goal has almost always been to constantly get shredded, get lean, have those abs. You know, that's always been the goal. And now the result is disordered eating and body image issues. Now, that's not to say that that's going to happen for everyone. That is just a forewarning that those things can happen if you're dieting for so long and so intensely and being so restrictive. It comes down to the fact that you cannot be dieting all of the time. So that kind of messes with our heads, and we're like, okay, well then are we just gonna get fat? Like what do we do? At least that's what I thought. So before I get into my tips for maintaining kind of like a healthy, lean physique year round, I just want to tell you a little bit more about the dieting. So in my opinion, the best way to go about dieting is to do 10 to 12 weeks of a diet, and that's being in a caloric deficit for the 10 to 12 weeks. Then, once that 12 weeks hits, you need to bump up your calories back to your maintenance level calories for 2 to 3 weeks. Then if you decide that you want to continue dieting, you can go ahead and go back down for 10 to 12 weeks and repeat the cycle, or you can stay at the maintenance calories and just maintain your look. The reason why you only want to diet for 10 to 12 weeks and then go back up to your maintenance calories is to kind of give your body like a diet break. So basically after those 10 to 12 weeks, your metabolism is starting to get a lot slower, your fat burning hormones are really unleveled. So whenever you take that dieting break and kind of go up for 2 to 3 weeks to your maintenance level calories, you're not gonna gain any fat, you're just literally at maintenance calories, just not in a deficit anymore. Your metabolism gets to be boosted back up to where it needs to be, your hormones get leveled, and your body can kind of replenish from those negative effects. So keep that in mind the next time you're dieting, and just remember that you can't always be dieting. You have to give your body a break, and you have to learn to love yourself at every single stage, and I can do a whole separate video about that. But it's really important to really keep in mind that you can't constantly be dieting or in a caloric deficit. You have to give your body a break. The most helpful thing for me whenever I'm struggling with not dieting and not constantly striving to be leaner and be more shredded and have abs and all that kind of stuff, I have to sit down and be like, Alaina, what is the ultimate goal? What is the ultimate goal for your health, for your mental well-being, for your life, all of that kind of stuff? And I know for myself, the ultimate goal is not to be the most shredded person on the planet. The ultimate goal is to live a happy, healthy, balanced lifestyle where I look good and I feel good. And so constantly dieting is not going to get me to the ultimate goal. It's also really important to set goals outside of your physique, so like how lean you are and what your abs look like and all that kind of stuff. So start setting goals based on performance, based on like athleticism, like jumps and stuff like that, or your strength, like how much you can lift, what your deadlift and squat can be, or maybe it's just finding something that you really enjoy, or working on your endurance with running or anything like that. Start setting goals outside of just how lean you can get, and that could be putting on more muscle. Like one of my goals is to build up my lower body, but it's also to get stronger, to really fall in love with the process of working on my body just for the health of it. And so setting those goals outside of how lean can I get is super important. It's also really important to focus on things outside of just what you look like. So that's one of the things that I really have to focus on. My life has always just been on my body, my eating, gym, work. That's it. So finding things outside of my physique that fulfill me and make me feel like a valuable person is super important, and I want to make a whole separate video on that, but just wanted to mention it really quickly. Also have to think about this whole fitness journey as a journey, and that the ultimate goal is probably never to be the skinniest person on the planet. The ultimate goal is to feel good with yourself and to feel happy and to feel energized and have a good mood and be able to do things with your family and friends. So keep that in mind. Keep the bigger picture in mind, because Because having the most shredded abs is not the best thing in the world, but having really good health and being an awesome person is a much better goal in my mind. And that is not to say that, you know, having a six-pack should not be one of your goals. That can be a goal for a period of time in your life, but being able to move on from that and having other goals in your life is super, super important. That's the kind of point I was making, not that that should never be your goal. This video is getting a little bit lengthier than I wanted it to be, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off now, but I am going to be uploading another video very, very soon about how to maintain a healthy, lean physique year-round. And yes, it is possible without constantly dieting year-round, I promise you. So that's kind of the plan. I'm really looking forward to making that separate video, and give this video a thumbs up if you are excited as well and if you want to see that video. But that's gonna go ahead and conclude this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one.